So you can send in your questions to askpvquestions@gmail.com. I've got a pretty interesting one here. It says, what is your biggest disagreement with Sam Harris in terms of ideas? That reminded me of Dave Rubin, by the way. It says, I think you and Secular Talk are the only progressive channels that don't blatantly misrepresent or slander Sam on purpose. So I've done, every time I talk about Sam Harris, I always include a ton of disclaimers I give him credit for certain areas and different things. And I do think that in the past he's been sort of slandered at times, but I have a lot of disagreements with Sam Harris. So apparently when it comes to foreign policy, while he seems to, I've heard him say that he didn't support really many interventions, except for Afghanistan. So if that is the case, then I don't have much disagreements with him there. However, I will say that in the Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris email exchange, I was definitely on Noam Chomsky's side because I think Sam Harris misrepresented Noam Chomsky by stating that all he cares about is the quantitative, which I think was false. I don't think that's what he was doing at all. Noam Chomsky was trying to make the point that, hey, America always tries to act like it's benevolent, but look at all the shit that it does, right? And rightfully so. And so I was definitely on Noam Chomsky's side in that. But a big disagreement I have with Sam Harris, I vehemently disagree with him on the Israeli-Palestinian issue. I find myself to be pro-Palestinian, especially with all the stuff that's been happening recently with the massacres of innocent Palestinians who are peacefully protesting, or best case scenario, throwing tires and instead in exchange getting bombed, getting shot down, and tear gassed. Sam Harris is apparently very much pro-Israeli. Now, also, I did a video talking about Sam Harris where before the primary happened, he's a liberal, and I always offer that disclaimer because I think people are going to think that I'm just going to fucking slam him from every direction. But I will give him credit because he's really the only person other than maybe Joe Rogan and the Weinstein brothers. I don't know anything about the Weinstein brothers personally, but he may be the only person who's like a main member of the intellectual dark web. Again, I have to use the quotes because it's such a hilarious name, right? That really criticizes Trump. And he does go after Trump quite a bit. And he did like a whole podcast the day before the election saying, don't vote Trump. And I give him credit for that. However, a place where I vehemently disagree with him, and you should too, is he claimed that Hillary Clinton was a better general election candidate than Bernie Sanders. And he explained that he supported Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders because, he's going to perform, or she's going to perform better in a general election than he is. And the poll, he even addressed the polling data while he was making that assessment, when he was making his little, points. And he basically said, oh, well, there's not a whole media apparatus going at him. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, what does that mean? I mean, people are going after him. They literally dismissed him. There was literally a boxing out of Bernie Sanders to that point. And so the point here being is that Bernie Sanders would have demolished Donald Trump in a general election, no fucking doubt. And I wouldn't even be close. We're looking at the polling data. You haven't really shown anything to refute that polling data by any means whatsoever. So I vehemently disagree with him. I can't even explain how vehemently I disagree with the idea of taking Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. That's one of the dumbest things you could possibly do. But another place I disagree with him is with his defense of Charles Murray and his scientific racism, which he's promoted. And by the way, I want to let you know that the bell curve, the purpose of the book is to suggest certain policy positions, the main policy position being the abolishment of the welfare state. So the goal, what they're doing is, instead of going at it the normal route of, saying that we shouldn't have a welfare state, what he's doing is he's saying, oh, what the U.S. is doing is they're subsidizing low IQ mothers, and so we should abolish the welfare state. And he goes on to show that, and it's a bunch of fucking baloney. But even if that was the case, I don't care. I want to help human beings, right? But it's mostly determined by environmental factors. I mean, even the IQ test, just even off the jump, right? IQ is a weird way to test intelligence, just because intelligence is not really a linear thing. And, I mean, you know how an IQ test, any type of test, right? You study for it, you perform better. That's how it works. So that I seriously, massively, and honestly, had he not dabbled in that dumb shit, which I don't know why the fuck he did, I would have a much easier time defending him. So I don't know why the fuck he decided to do that, because that really threw a wrench into his entire, reputation and his image. But those are the crux of my disagreements with Sam Harris. I I applaud him for being a liberal, although I wish he was more left. But I will also give him credit because he supports the universal basic income, and he seems to be pretty left wing, generally speaking. So those are my disagreements with Sam Harris.